to Drink, Read, Fabio. I'm Kate Brimmer.
And I'm Sophia Kayafis.
And welcome back to our podcast.
Yeah.
This week, it's that time, guys, for our September wrap-up.
I was about to say with you, and then I forgot what month it was. So,
as you guys know, we start off with our 1-star reads and go all the way to our top rated books of the month.
yeah.
So, are you ready?
Yes.
Let's do it. All
Perfect.
right. This month, I read 7 books, which I was a little bit slacking because of the move. I'm not proud of it, but it's fine. Sometimes you need a little break to take some time off and not read as many books.
We were really slow like the first week because we moved
like
here.
2 weeks for me.
So, we'll get back on track. But
Yes.
we have some reads to share with you.
Oh,
So,
of course.
I read 8 books this month, which is pretty good for me. But I did read some shorter books, so that definitely helps. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
All right. My only 2-star is Emergency Marriage to the Greek by Clare Connelly. This was a podcast book, so take that as you will. Go listen to our podcast episode on this. But it's just a silly romance book that takes place in Greece, and it's ridiculous.
100 Other Girls by... I'm going to pronounce this wrong, and I feel so bad, but I think it's Iman Hariri-Kia.
Yeah.
Yep. This is a 2-star for me. It was just ridiculous. There was just too much going on throughout the whole book, and none of it really made me care about the characters at all, and it just was so unbelievable that I just could not follow along. And one thing I will say is that I was never bored, which is great and a good takeaway from this, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. It was a lot of complaining. It was. She just whined the whole book, and I just can't with that.
She really did have a lot of struggles, but as a reader, it's like, you can only take so much.
It only takes so much, especially when I read to, relax and to, escape stressful situations, and this just made me feel more stressed.
Yeah.
So 2 stars.
So now we're going to move on to 3 stars. I have 2. So like Kate said, we read 100 Other Girls for our book club, so we both read it this month. It's not quite 3 stars. I think it's like a little bit less for me.
That's nice.
Like I somewhat enjoyed it. Like it felt fast paced. Like she said, I was never bored. But yeah, there were just parts of it that were kind of unbelievable. We were talking about it earlier. We're like, this would literally never happen. Yeah, we didn't really care about the characters that much. Like, I get what she was trying to do. I really get it. But it just wasn't executed in the best way. If you go check out our last video, me and Kate went to Barnes & Noble and we both bookshop for each other and tried to pick a book that we'd never heard of before. So this was the book that Kate picked for me. This is by Tracey Garvis Graves. It's Heard It in a Love Song. And I thought that her writing style was really, nice. I thought it was well written and moved really, it just flowed really nicely. But this story just, nothing really happened. It was just kind of, too simple.
Like lackluster?
Yeah, a little lackluster. It was just kind of there. It was just a story. Nothing really happened. So it was just kind of, in the middle, 3 stars. Yeah.
Nice! So I also had 2 3-star reads this month. The first one was kind of a disappointment for me because, as you guys know, Friends to Lovers is my favorite trope of all time. And so I was really excited to read The Infinity Between Us, which is a childhood to lovers summer kind of romancy book by N.S. Perkins. And it just was kind of blah. There's just so many better ones out there. There's situations that kind of made me upset when I was reading it, kind of annoyed at the characters for the choices that they were making, and it kind of felt a little bit childish at times. And it was a really slow burn. So and then the end just like moved really quick, and it was just kind of not the best flowing book. And there's so many better Friends to Lovers books out there. This isn't the one to get. And then also the book that Sophia picked out for me in our last video, the Homewreckers by Mary K. Andrews. And this is a actually really cute book. It is so cute. If you love home renovations, definitely pick it up. This author chose way too many tropes to fit into one book. She tried to do a romance, like rom-com-y vibe with home renovations and a murder mystery all in one book, and it was just too much. The murder mystery part especially was just really bad. It was really bad. I guessed the ending within the first 50 pages.
Yeah, that's not really what you want
so
from a mystery.
Predictable, and I'm not one to really be a predictor. Guessing.
She's not out here guessing all these.
No, and this
stories.
one I really...
You knew.
I knew. I was like, well...
Yeah.
Okay, girl, whatever. But I did really love the home renovation part. So 3 stars.
I have 3 4-stars. So all of these are like, they're a little more than 4. So I'm just going to put that out there. But they're not quite a 5. I wish they were like in betweens. But first I have Shatter Me, which is the first book in this series by I'm gonna butcher this. Tahereh Mafi. I hope I said that somewhat correct. But basically this is a young adult dystopian novel about this girl named Juliet who has a touch that is lethal. And so basically she's taken from her parents and by this new regiment that has come in, and they want to use her as a weapon, but she obviously has other plans.
Of course.
So
you can't use me.
Yeah, you can't just use me. But I was like engrossed in the story. But was it very young adult? Yes. It felt extremely young adult, and there are just things where I'm like, she's writing this to appease 2 young girls. Like, and some of it didn't feel as real. It's not like realistic because it's dystopian, but you know, like, it just like moved a little too fast. I'm like, okay, we can have a little more depth here. But I've heard that it gets better as you go along, so I'm excited to read more, and I think that the world and Juliet are just really interesting. So.
And I feel like just looking at the size difference of this one and the next one, it will give you more of that in-depth feeling that you're wanting.
Yes, yeah.
Just by nature of size.
Yeah, and it was just really interesting how this one's written, because it's kind of like, feels like journal entries. Like you can see there's a lot of like scratches out and like multiple
that's fun.
Dialogue, so it kind of you can understand where her head is at. Like it's very erratic and kind of all over the place, and then I hear that as the book goes along, it kind of, her thoughts kind of start to form more in a logical way.
Fun.
So that's just really interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Then I read the Hawthorn Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is the 2nd book in the Inheritance Game series. And I don't know, you guys.
It's not all the way there.
Everyone's like, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. And I don't know if it's because everyone says that it just wasn't it for me. But it's
overhyped.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like it. Like, I enjoyed it, but it's not like, yes, this is everything to me. These books don't flow very well to me. They're kind of choppy, and I don't feel like I care enough. Like, I do, but I don't. I don't know. I wish Kay had read them so she could, like, talk with me about it.
I'm planning on it. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Maybe we can do an episode on this series.
Yeah, because I think it's good. Something about it just doesn't intrigue me enough.
Is there another book after this?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She just came out with it, like, this month. And also, like, there seemed to be plot twist kind of things that kind of just come out of nowhere.
Were they
Just
predictable?
No, yes. But, like, it also felt like they're just throwing that out there just to make it crazy. But not actually, like,
they weren't
make
intentional.
sense. Yeah, not intentional. And my last 4-star is, well, this one's kind of like a 4.5. It's really good, but just different for me. Is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, which is a really different read for me. I tried to push myself out of my comfort zone and try a classic, and this one's not very long, so that helps. So basically, it's so confusing kind of to explain without telling you, but basically it's about this guy named Dorian Gray, and he's just like beautiful. Like, he's the it guy. You know, everyone wants to be his friend. Everyone wants to date him. He's like it. So he is painted by his friend. And this man comes in and wants to buy the painting of him and become friends with Dorian. And kind of takes Dorian Gray away from his other friend and is like, you're going to come under my wing. We're going to be BFFs. But he kind of has like a toxic way of thinking. And so it kind of takes Dorian Gray down this rabbit hole of like, what is beauty and what is self and how do those things go together, and
inner beauty and outer beauty.
Yeah, and how time can change that with like age and stuff. And so it kind of takes him down this treacherous road in a sense, because he's having this crisis about being only liked for his looks and things like that. And there's kind of this like magical part about the portrait, because it kind of holds on to something and changes. So that's kind of crazy and fun. But the first part of the book is hilarious. Like, I was laughing out loud, and I was not expecting that. It was actually so funny.
That's so cool.
And then it kind of starts getting dark and shit starts going down and crazy stuff starts happening, and Dorian just keeps getting into these bad situations. And it's really fun. The writing is easy to follow along, but there were some parts where, not gonna lie, I was kind of bored. And I was like, okay, let's have some more plot here. Like, I get it. But I really liked it, and I think if you are trying to get into classics, this is a good one to start with, because I think it's really easy to follow, really fun, and yeah, just an interesting, good read.
So, I only have one 4-star read this month, and that read is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. This book is so cute. It's a romance, but it's kind of like a deeper, more emotional romance. I talked about it in a video in the past, in our fall reads video. Go check it out. And I really, really enjoyed this book. It was really cute. It revolves around Archer, who as a child went through this really traumatic experience and ended up getting his vocal box crushed. So he physically cannot talk, and because of this, he kind of gets exiled in the town that he lives in, and nobody really wants to be his friend or hang out with him, and they all tease him about it. And so he kind of grows up learning that the world hates him and that he really is the only one for himself, and kind of creates his own little world in this town, in like this house, and grows up pretty much all alone. Until this cutie patootie little girl comes, who also went through a traumatic experience, and she grew up with a father who was deaf. So she knows sign language, so she can actually talk with Archer, because he taught himself sign language as a way to communicate without his voice. So they start to get to know each other, and slowly you realize what happened in their past that made life so difficult for them, and the reasoning behind both of their trauma, and how they kind of grow together through these challenges, and, you know, accepting what has happened in the past, etc., etc. So it kind of gives me Colleen Hoover vibes in a sense, where she takes these, you know, out of the box situations and kind of shows how people go through it and how people learn and grow through their life, you know, and that not all romances need to be cookie cutter perfect situations, that you know, love can come out of hard situations too.
Now we have our 5-star reads. The big boys, the good ones, the ones you should read right now. Alright, so the first one I have is, so this is the Shatter Me novella. It has 2 in there, but the first one that I read is Destroy Me. And yeah, I know, it's cheesy. It's really short, so it's like, it's only 100 pages, so it's kind of hard to be like, it's a book. But
counts on Goodreads.
It counts on Goodreads. But I really enjoyed this. It's from the point of view of like the bad guy, and it just kind of shows his side of it and makes you understand him better. And I just thought that was really interesting for her to choose him as the first person after the main character to show their point of view. And I think giving the villain a voice and making him feel like more relatable and understandable is just a really interesting thing to read. And I enjoyed it. And I read it in like literally a day. So there you go.
That.
My last 5-star read is by my good old gal, Jenkins Reid.
Yeah.
She just hits home every single time. This is One True Loves. And this is one of her like books that's not a part of the fake celebrity kind of historical fiction kind of vibe book. Some people, I knew kind of this plot, not this plot, but like what does it say? It says this on the back of the book, what I'm about to say, but I feel like if you're a person who really likes to go into things not knowing a lot, do not listen to this next part. Because I think it would be actually better if you don't.
Spoiler alert.
It's not a spoiler because it's on the back of the book, like on the description.
Sometimes they put spoilers on the back of
sometimes
books.
they overdo it. But if you do want to know, because this description did make me want to read it, it's basically about this woman who marries her like true love. He's perfect. Everything's perfect. They love each other. They get married. He goes off on a trip and his helicopter crashes and they assume he's dead. And so after a while, she ends up finding someone else. She's engaged to be married and they're about to get married in like a couple months or something. And her husband comes back. And so it's about her trying to figure out who she's going to choose because she loves them both equally and she feels like they're both her true loves in different ways. And so it's her navigating that and oof. It was hard to read. I'm like, I don't know what I would do. It was really good and just flowed really nice. And Jenkins Reid is just such a good writer. So there you go. 5 stars. Go read it.
Yeah.
It was really good.
I know this is super rare for me.
I know.
Because I'm a very harsh rater. But I had 3 5-star reads this month, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because right now it's really hard for me to... I judge romance books really harshly because I've read so many romance books in the last couple months. But these ones that I read this month were so different than the norm that it made me interested in romance again.
Yeah.
And right now, like, if a book is going to... One, if I read a book in, like, a day or 2, I know it's a 5-star. Mm-hmm. And 2, if it makes me super excited to read it, I'm like, okay, this is, like, different and new and exciting. So the first one is The Bromance Bookclub by Lyssa K. Adams. This book is about a professional baseball player who finds out that his wife has been faking her orgasms their whole marriage because he finally gives her an orgasm and figures out what it's actually like. And it ends up creating this huge fight where she threatens to divorce him.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And kicks him out of the house.
Oh, no.
So the whole book revolves around him trying to win his wife back. And to do this, his friends basically pull him into a secret club where they read romance novels to take the advice from romance novels to use on their wives. It's amazing. I'm like, who thought of this? Lyssa, you're a genius because it's so funny. It's so creative. And I just live for second chance romance. I think that's so fun.
Yeah.
Especially two people when they're married because it like makes things cuter.
And he's just seems like he's trying so hard.
Oh.
The fact that he's going to read romance books.
Try so hard. It's so cute. Read it. It's so cute.
Like, we want every guy to read our romance books.
Of course, because it's true. They basically say in the book, they're like,
you want to know the secrets?
They're like, romance books are written for women about what they want in a relationship.
Yeah.
So we read this to know what they want in a relationship, and then we can do it.
Yeah.
It's so smart. Anyway, it's so cute and so good.
It's like romance for dummies. Like, just read romance books if you really want to get a girlfriend.
Come on.
That's all you gotta do.
Do it. And it's so cute. It's so funny.
I can't wait to read it.
Yes, please read it, everybody. It's so fun. The next book I have is Every Last Secret by A.R. Torre. This is a thriller that Sophia recommended to me. And
I haven't read it, but I just heard it was good.
It's so good, guys. It revolves around a A-list, super successful and rich couple. The wife is a stay-at-home mom, but she runs like every charity event, every society situation. Like, she's the head, she's the it girl of the town of rich ladies, and the husband is the CEO. And like, all the other husbands are pretty ugly and like married rich wives that are, you know, kind of like the classic stereotype. But he actually is like super hot, super successful, like the richest guy there. And he's like an asshole as a boss, which is like kind of a turn on to a lot of girls. Yeah, I guess. Not to me, but like, it's a stereotype where like girls are like,
the grumpy guy.
You're so controlling. Oh my
like
gosh.
in all those books.
Yes.
The grumpy guy in the
Especially
office.
because he isn't that way towards Kat, his
wife.
wife.
You hate everyone but me. Trope.
Exactly. And he hires this new, because he is such a dick to his coworkers, people are starting to quit, and he can't have them quit because he has this really big thing happening in his company that he's creating, and it needs to get done, and it's already been pushed back. So he hires a life coach to come in and be like a, you know, positive influence on his coworkers to kind of create a more positive vibe in the work environment. This girl, Nina, becomes obsessed with him and his wife and their lifestyle, and moves into the house next door and basically becomes so obsessed that she wants to be them. Like, she wants to, you know everything. I'm trying to not spoil it, but like, trying to know everything about, it's like You vibes. Yeah. Like that honed in on that stalkery obsession with another person. Yeah. And it switches back and forth between present time and the past. And so you kind of know from the very first chapter kind of what went down or like what went wrong, or know that like something really bad happened, and then it jumps to the back and you kind of get the answers and like the middle ground and figure out really what went down between them. And it's just crazy. I literally would think about this book all day. Like, when I couldn't read it, I'd be like, I just want to pick it up and figure out what's going on. I want to know what's happening. I want to know what happens, because they keep so much from you, and like, you really discover little bits and pieces. I'm like, I need to keep going. Yeah. It's so good. And it's a great starter for you guys, gals, and theys who don't love super scary thrillers, because it's more suspenseful and it's more like solving a puzzle and less spooky, scary skeleton vibes. Yeah. And lastly, for my 5-star books, I have Love on the Brain by Hazelwood. Hazelwood is just so funny. She's so funny. Her writing is so silly and cute, and the characters were just everything to me. It wasn't, people say this is Grumpy Sunshine. I disagree. I don't think it's that Grumpy Sunshine, because the guy is more just like a shy nerd.
Yeah.
And like, doesn't really know how to express himself. It revolves around two scientists who went to school together, and Levi never wanted to work with Bee, would never shake her hand, never talk to her, and everybody else in the lab loved Levi, and Levi was like so charming and nice to everyone and like wanted to talk to everyone. Would not look at her, would not talk to her ever. And so she always thought that he hated her and was like, why doesn't this guy like me?
Mm-hmm.
So when she finds out that they have to work on a project together, now that they have graduated and they both have careers in this thing at NASA and work on some like astronaut shit, she's like, how is this gonna work out? He doesn't like me. He can't even talk to me. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
And it kind of like goes through them working on this project together and the twists and turns that happen. And the characters are just so good. They're so good. Like, Bee is the quirkiest, cutest little, like, silly gal. And she has this assistant that's like a goth kind of edgy girl who's so funny. And Levi turns out to be like the cutest guy. He's so nice and like shy and like nerdy. It's so cute. It's like, I liked it even more than The Love Hypothesis. Read it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That was all our reads of the month.
Yes.
So that makes 55 books for the year for me.
And I read 77 books this year, so we both have the same like number. Double digit. With 55 and 77.
Yeah.
Super fun.
And let us just be clear. If you've read one book or if you've read 100 books, go you, because any book is good. You're educating yourself or you're having fun. I felt like my reading month was so-so. I didn't read like any books that were really like amazing to me, except for my 5 stars. But
That's
even then, I wasn't
month.
like, yeah. I was just like, these are really good, but not like, oh my god, this is it. Like,
that's how I felt last month. I felt that way last month too.
Yeah.
This month I was a lot happier, but I also picked books that were like raved about.
Yeah.
I picked a lot of books that had a lot of really good reviews, and I think it's because my last month was so blah. I was like, I need to know going into these books that they're gonna be winners, because I need a win right now.
Yeah.
It's like I need a win.
I feel like I went a little bit out of my comfort zone this month. I kind of had a bunch of different kinds of reads, and it wasn't really anything of my normal picking. Like, there were literally no romance books.
Well, when True Loves. But not like, you mean like silly fun ones?
It wasn't,
Not silly fun romances.
Not silly fun romances. Tell us what if you had any good 5-star reads.
Tell us what, I don't know.
Tell us what you read. Tell us if you've had any 5-star reads this month. And if you have any fall reads that you're really excited to read this upcoming season. And like, comment, subscribe, all the things. And follow us on Instagram. And we'll see you guys next time.
On Drink, Read, Fabio!